the mercy killing of free enterprise. He bragged that his system would kill free enterprise, and yet millions of college students in the United States are told that this guy came along to save free enterprise. John Maynard Keynes was partially responsible for the creation of the Federal Reserve System in this country. He was at the founding of the International Monetary Fund after World War II. And his theories are taught in virtually every economics class in the United States. And he was a Fabian socialist. And we'll remember that a Fabian socialist, by definition, is basically a Marxist communist, but a man who believes that we'll bring it about through the ballot box, through gradual change, instead of revolution. A year and a half ago, Richard Nixon said, "In economics, I am now a Keynesian," which is just another way of saying, in economics, I am now a socialist, or I am now a Marxist communist. What was Keynes's theory? Well, in a simplified form, it was this. He said, if business is bad, then the government in its budget should run a deficit. In other words, it should spend more money than it takes in taxes. And he said that deficit will stimulate the economy and will get it going again. And he said in good years, when business is good and the government is running a surplus, then it should cut government spending. So you stimulate the economy in bad times and you put the brakes on in good times. Well, that's a reasonable sounding theory, isn't it? Of course, if it worked, our economy should be so fantastic now that everybody should be a billionaire, because we've run something like 35 deficits in the last 39 years. Now, even if this theory was sound as a theory, in reality it is not sound, for the very reason that politicians like to spend money and they don't like to tax, because spending money tends to make voters happy and taxing tends to make voters unhappy. So Keynes's theory of you spend money in bad times and you cut spending in good times has turned out to be you spend more money all the time. This causes inflation. I think we're all familiar with inflation. I can just try to think of something out of my own lifetime that might have meaning to you. And I remember going to the movies in 1943 when I was 6 years old, and it cost me 6 cents to go to a movie. And then one terrible, horrible day, it went up to 7 cents. What's going on? And then a few months later, it went up to 9 cents. And we're getting incensed. Terrible. And then it went to 11 cents and 14 cents. I don't know what it is today, but isn't 75 cents for a child to go to a movie? Depends, but I don't think anybody's going for 6 cents anymore. And for that, you can thank the theories of John Maynard Keynes. Almost every day, you hear about how terrible inflation is, and 3/4 of the people in the United States believe that inflation is the country's #1 problem. And yet, if you go out on the street and ask people, well, what is inflation? They don't know what inflation is. Almost always, if you ask somebody, if you ask your friends, what is inflation? They will tell you something like this. Well, you know, wages go up, and prices go up, and then wages go up again, and then prices go up again, and on and on and on. You have what is called the wage price spiral. Everything is always going up. Who's at fault for this terrible wage price spiral? Well, if you talk to a Democrat, he'll tell you it's those labor unions. They always want more money without doing more work. And you can go to a Republican, or pardon me, if you go to a Democrat, he'll tell you it's big business that's at fault. Big business, those greedy capitalists are always raising their prices. It's the big businessmen that are causing inflation. And you go to a Democrat, he says it's the union. Or you go to a Republican, he says it's the unions. So Democrats blame big business, Republicans blame unions, and the truth is that neither big businessmen nor unions cause inflation. Because inflation is not the wage price spiral. Now, if you people can track me for the next 5 minutes, you will understand more about economics than 99% of the people in the United States. Let's talk about the wage price spiral. Let's take the wage part of it. Let's say there's 90 of you in the room, and I've got a job list for all of you people. It's all going to take 1 hour for each of you to do your job. And I've got a plate of cookies up here. I've got 90 cookies. There's 90 of you. And I say, all right, you all go out and you do your jobs, and you report back here in an hour, and you're going to get your wages. Your wages are 1 cookie. So zoom, you're all out of here, you're picking up trash, cleaning up your cabin, doing all the things. You come back here, say, all right, now you get your wages. Everybody gets a cookie. All right, tomorrow we meet the same place. Say, all right, guys, I've got 90 cookies here. I want you to go out, do your hour's work, then you'll all get your cookie. And we've got some agitator here in the front row, and he stands up, he says, wait a minute. I'm not going to go pick up trash for 1 cookie. No way. I want 2 cookies, or I don't pick up the trash. And all the rest of you jump to your feet and you say, right on! 2 cookies or we don't pick up the trash. All right? I've only got 90 cookies, and now you people want 180 cookies to go pick up trash. Now I've got just 2 choices, don't I? I can either give you people 2 cookies, and you don't get any cookies at all. Tough rocks, kids. You're out of work. Or I got to go to the cook in the kitchen and say, you got to bake 90 more cookies. Because there is no way, and it agrees with me, there is no way that I can turn a plate of 90 cookies into 180 cookies. There's only one guy that could do that, and he's gone. I've either got to take some of your cookies away from some people to give you more, or I got to bake more cookies. All right? That's exactly the way things are in the big economy. If you guys want to go from $2 an hour to $4 an hour, if everybody wants a raise in pay, there's just so many dollars to pay the wages in. What happens? If I'm going to pay everybody more money, I've got to have more money to pay it, don't I? I mean, that's not a theory, that's physics. The government increases the money supply. In 1932, there was $156 for every man, woman, and child in the United States in circulation. Since that time, based on the theories of John Maynard Keynes, the government has been printing more and more and more money. Now today, there is $2,100 in circulation for every man, woman, and child in the United States. In other words, the government went out and baked a lot more cookies. But what's happened? You don't go to the movies for 6 cents anymore. Now it's 75 cents or $1. All right, the wage, part of the wage price spiral. You can't have a general increase in wages for everybody unless there is more money available to pay them. It's that simple. All right, how about prices? Let's pretend we're all at an auction. And I'm going to auction off this watch. Too bad. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. I needed a watch, you had it. That's Marxism. All right, we're going to auction off this watch. And you all take out your wallet and you count up and see how much money you have that you can bid on the watch and these other things that I'm going to sell you. I'm going to sell you a UN t-shirt. I'm going to sell you that deer on the back wall. You can imagine how hard that deer was running when he hit that wall to come through like that. All right, so we're auctioning things off, and you've got so much money in your wallet that you can spend. Then right in the middle of the auction, through the back door, bursts your friendly government bureaucrat. And he's got a great big bushel basket full of monopoly money. And here's a handful for you and a handful for you. And here, everybody gets a handful of this new monopoly money. Terrific. You say, geez, I only had $10 before to bid on things, and now I've got 20. Terrific. I'm twice as well off, aren't I? Right? Wrong. Because everybody else has got more money. So what happens? We start the bidding on the watch, and people not only use the money they had in their wallets, they use all that new money that government bureaucrat handed to you. So now the watch, instead of selling for $2, sells for $4. Why? Because the money supply was increased. If you go home and look up the definition of inflation in your dictionary, it doesn't say anything about the wage price spiral. It says a rapid increase in the supply of money. The money is then used to bid up wages and prices, because our economy is an auction. The economy of the United States is a gigantic auction in which millions of bids are made for different goods every day. The cause of what the establishment calls inflation. When you watch David Brinkley on television every night, he says, well, we had 3% inflation last month.